Hello everyone, my name is Jackie. I'm a girl from a very wealthy family. I'm not exaggerating right now. My family, although not of very prominent origin, is still very rich. My grandparents were ordinary farmers, but my dad, although my dad grew up in a normal family, he always wanted to be rich, and his whole life he worked for that goal. He works a lot, and he is very successful, and he also does not deny us anything. My mom and I just bathe in luxury. He says that he grew up in poverty and doesn't want his child to dream of candy for presents and have no butter for breakfast. Because of this, I study at an elite, most expensive school in our city. Kids of the richest, most influential people go there. And my dad hopes that in the future I will be able to make excellent connections there and maybe even marry a person from a royal family. What? Marrying a prince as an ordinary girl is not difficult at all. And I think you even know such examples. Do you know any? Write your guesses in the comments. And you can also write down a list of single princes. I can obviously get them to like me. We also have a huge 3-story house. Everything in it is gorgeous. I have my own zoo, and even a lynx lives in it. He's such a troublesome animal, and not like a cat at all. We also have a horse stable, and I do equestrian sport 3 times a week. I'm not the biggest fan, but this is what aristocrats do for sports. Another aristocratic sport, according to my dad, is tennis, and I do it 2 times a week. The rest of the time I spend with my friends or study, but of course, I fly to different countries on the weekends. My life is a fairy tale. I adore my dad for giving me all this. That we need to live simple lives. However, my grandparents like to ruin the lifestyle. They say that this kind of luxury is useless, that we need to live simple lives, that sport is good, but a girl should be able to do household chores. No, just imagine me cooking food. Or doing dishes, ew. Or worse, cleaning the house. My toilet, blech, yikes, I feel bad just from the thought of it. I'm not some kind of beggar to do this all. We all have servants for this. Those people are clearly not that lucky and do not have as much money, but they are lucky that they can work for us and at least see how normal people live. Shortly speaking, my dad's mother got so annoying with her normal teachings that my mom had a fight with her, and now we don't talk. My grandma from mom's side is completely different. She's always told my mom that she would marry a rich man, and now she's very happy with the way we live. We talk often, and she loves to visit us. I think all of you now envy my life, and there's probably no one with a better life than me. It was an ordinary morning. I smeared the bread with black caviar. The servant poured us fresh orange juice. My mom's favorite flowers were on the table, and my father was reading the newspaper. He always read in the mornings. The doorbell rang. A confused butler came in and said that the police were there. They were asking Dad. Of course, we were surprised, but on the other hand, Dad had a big business, so you never know what they'd need. Dad would figure everything out, but he didn't. The police came not just to talk, but to search the house. They found some documents, handcuffed my dad, and took him away. Mom said that I shouldn't worry. The lawyer would help and just sent me to school. The next day, our house was searched again, and all our bank accounts and credit cards were blocked. The lawyer explained that everything was very bad. My dad was involved in some drug trade, and also in a large corporation scheme. There were a lot of different people involved, and the state had suffered numerous damage. This case was a lost cause, so my dad will have nothing to pay the law firm, and he was quitting. That's how we were left without a lawyer. The next day, our house was confiscated by a court decision. We need to leave immediately so that we wouldn't try selling anything. The house was sealed and everything was left there. Mom's car was also taken away. And so we ended up on the streets without any money or personal belongings. We were like beggars who also had no place to sleep. So of course, we went over to my grandmother. It was a terrible night. My mom cried, and my grandma said that since my dad turned out to be a thief, nothing mattered. She must divorce him and look for another husband. My mom refused, but Grandma insisted. Of course, I was angry with my dad, but it would have been unfair to him. I kept thinking about it. But then he also set us all up. And if he was imprisoned for a long time, how would we live? In the morning, my grandma made us breakfast. It was very modest, and then she said she was not going to have us stay because my mom was so stubborn and didn't see that everything was over, that we must move on. Mom took my hand and we left. She took me to school by bus. It was terrible. Before then, I only saw them from the outside, but now I was inside it. It was awful. And how do people ride them? At school, everyone knew everything, and I was bullied. I barely survived until the evening, but no one waited for me. I called my mom. She said that I have to get there myself. She was busy. I was very angry at her, but what happened next was even worse. We spent the night at the train station. At the train station? This was just a nightmare. How could she do that to me? How? I believed that my grandma was right. Because of my dad's stupidity, we got into this situation, but he couldn't help us, so why should we help him? My mom always cried. I yelled at her, but she kept saying we had to save my father. I hated her. The next evening, we were again at the station, but a different one. I had to wash in a dirty toilet. I didn't take a bath for 3 days, and I had dirty clothes on. That day, I learned that if Dad confesses his guilt, then we would get a part of the property, although he would still be in prison for 20 years. But he refused. How could he? He didn't think about us at all. So another night at the station was ahead of us. But then, things took a turn. Dad's mother called and invited us to her place. It was a difficult conversation. Mom asked for forgiveness for her behavior. I was angry, and Grandma hugged us and said that she had forgiven us long ago. She was very worried about her son and did not believe that he was to blame. She said that when he visited her last time, he said that he might be in trouble and left us a letter. In the letter, he said how much he loved us and how he was worried about us. He was afraid that because of the large state order, he might have problems. So he asked for our forgiveness. Apparently, he transferred some money to a secret account so that we wouldn't need anything. He arranged everything in such a way that they couldn't take this money from us, but I could only use it when I turned 18. He also wrote that he paid for my school tuition and that the money would be enough to even cover university tuition, an apartment for Mom and me, and for everything we're used to. He asked to be a little patient if he could not come out earlier. After all, as soon as he came out, we will have everything again. He will again earn our living and return everything that was taken unfairly away from us. I was shocked. It turns out I'm homeless, but I have millions. My dad's not a criminal, not a thief, and not a corrupt official. He didn't set us up? Does he think about us even in prison? I felt so ashamed that I thought so badly of him. But at the same time, I was angered by the fact that I could only use the money in 3 years. I have to live somewhere for 3 years. This was an awful fact. While I was thinking about this, my grandma was discussing with my mom a plan to save my father. Turns out he always gave her and grandma a lot of money, but they did not spend it. So now we had the money for a good lawyer. I thought that this money would be enough for a life and comfort. After all, if my dad is in such trouble, then perhaps a lawyer won't help him, which means that the money will go to waste and we will all live in poverty. Do you think I should intervene and convince them otherwise? Maybe we don't need to save my father. Maybe we can live on this money for 3 years, and maybe then I'll become rich again. Or do I just endure 3 years in poverty? What's your advice? Write your opinion in the comments. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up and write something down below. Don't forget to subscribe.